From Vancouver to Halifax, Flin Flon to Estevan, he's covering everything that matters to you. It's the Rod Pedersen Show.
Good morning, Canada. Welcome. A hearty good morning, and welcome to the bunker here on the Rod Pedersen Show. I'm your host. The co-host this morning is one Taylor Shire from Global Television. How you doing, Taylor?
I'm great.
Thanks for joining us for coffee this morning. Caliber coffee, as it were. It's episode number 161 of Canada's only live morning sports talk show, and somewhat back to normal today for whatever the off-season is, CFL-wise here on the Rod Pedersen Show. I chuckled because I said to Taylor, "What's new with you? What's new at Global?" This was off the air just before we went. He said, "Just waiting for football season." Basically. The most Saskatchewan phrase ever.
Yeah.
Just waiting for football season. Welcome to Saskatchewan in January of 2020. But we will be talking hockey and so forth today. We got a lot of football guests lined up. I'm going to tell you who they are in a minute. But in 30 minutes time, they'll be dropping the puck on the SaskTel Pink and White game over at the SJHL MJHL Showcase. 600 school kids in from around the area talking about Be Kind Online. So big kudos to SaskTel, the SJHL, and the MJ. We were on the air yesterday for the last two games of the day. It's basically the Prairie's Junior A Showcase. The hockey's been amazing. But back to more of our football roots today. Derek Moncrief from the Vegas Raiders will be joining us. He is making a media tour. Today is our turn with, what does he call himself? Hot Boy Showmain?
Yep, something like that.
I got to ask him what the origin of his Twitter handle is. Enoch Mwamba, star Montreal Alouettes middle linebacker, will be joining us, former Saskatchewan Roughrider. And Jonathan Newsom just re-upped with the BC Lions. D lineman, led the NFL in sacks by a rookie, don't you know, with the Indianapolis Colts. I think it was 2014. John Newsom will be with us later on today. We got... Is it breaking news? I guess there's some breaking news. This isn't part of our Magnificent Seven show topics, but the CFL has announced a special announcement will be made tomorrow in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I think we all thought it would be regarding Touchdown Atlantic, and TSN's David Naylor reporting that indeed it is. They're not announcing a franchise for Atlantic Canada. They're announcing that the Rough Riders will play the Argos in Halifax at St. Mary's, I believe, Stadium in July. So that's the breaking news from this morning there. Welcoming everybody as they chime in today from wherever you may be watching, from a lot of people across Manitoba, a lot of people from across Saskatchewan. See some people from Michigan today. Mazatlan, Mexico. Good morning, Randy. And John Ohm checking in from work in Winnipeg. He says, shh, don't tell anyone. Okay, John. But you just did. And very early on in the show, we learned not to call the viewers out that they're watching unless they out themselves. Because I've had people pull me aside and say, can you not mention my name on the air? Because I'm watching at work. Noted. Okay. It's just so new that we were so excited to be able to do that. Rosemary Dick writing in today. She says, I'm waiting for Riders football season 2, Roddy. Hashtag, is it May yet? I love what you said. Just waiting for football season. Man.
Down the
so
days.
True. So, Magnificent Seven show topics today. And then we got all sports here. We got baseball, we got football, we got hockey. Number one, Matt Nichols is upset that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are targeting Zach Collaros in free agency and not him. This came out from, again, TSN's Dave Naylor. The agent, Cameron Foster, telling TSN's Dave Naylor that Matt Nichols is a little upset that the Bombers' priority is signing Zach Collaros. I was considering putting up as a poll question, who would you rather have as your starting quarterback? But I think we have a better poll question coming up a little later on that we'll get to. But is Matt Nichols not the guy that was, like, his feelings were hurt, that he was booed at IG Field by Bomber fans, and now he's upset that they're targeting somebody else? I understand what he's done for the Bomber franchise, and this was the quote from the agent. Look, I know we didn't get across the finish line with Matt, but Matt took the Bombers to the finish line. That's my number one show topic today. What do you think about this?
Well, they always say you can't lose your job to injury. It's kind of the cliche, right? So
a misnomer.
Well, yeah. So I think Matt Nichols has done a lot for the Winnipeg franchise, and I don't necessarily think Zach. I mean, Zach played well, but can he sustain it over the season? He tried to show that in Saskatchewan and didn't work. So he had a good stretch of 4 games in Winnipeg. And does that make him, deserving of the starting quarterback job for 2-3 years, whatever the contract is? Or do you go back to a guy, Matt Nichols, who's shown that he can lead this team to a certain point? I mean, he never won a Grey Cup there, but he helped get them there, like you said. If I'm Matt Nichols, I'm a bit ticked off because he's given a lot back to Winnipeg, and Zach Collaros kind of comes in, but he's in the right place, right time. He's got to cash in on his success because he won the big game.
It's a literal, what have you done for me lately? Or you're only as good as your last game. I understand the phrase.
Because they can't keep both, right?
Well, hang on. But you can't lose your job to injury. Maybe that was the case at one time. It's not anymore.
No.
You don't see that. And I totally get what you're saying. But as far as keeping both, you got Mike Riley out there making $750,000 a year or whatever it is. You could actually pay both Zach and Matt Nichols $350 for the amount that Mike Riley's getting. If you really wanted to go down that road, I'm not sure Winnipeg does.
Would they both accept that, though? And say, okay, if they say it's an open competition at camp, you got to go earn it, you're both making $350, or would one say, I'm going to go elsewhere?
It's the concept of market value. It's no different than selling or buying a house. What are you worth, Matt? You're worth what somebody's willing to pay you.
Yeah.
Period. Now, that's show topic 1 of the Magnificent Seven. We'll come back around on CFL starting quarterbacks because there's a late breaking story that's kind of got people interested, including me. Topic 2 was the CFL special announcement in Halifax. When I wrote this down, we didn't know what it was going to be. I just mentioned that Dave Naylor letting it out of the bag. The Touchdown Atlantic will be in Halifax this year. Number 3, Kevin Sawyer, the Winnipeg Jets broadcast crew, has apologized for insensitive comments. This has made national news. It was early January that Kevin Sawyer from TSN3, the Jets television broadcaster, laughing on the air about Jared Spurgeon and how they saran wrapped him to a pillar in the rink in Spokane 15 years ago. You must have been following some of this.
Yeah.
You heard about it? Yeah. He finally apologized. It took about 3 weeks. For insensitive comments, I think that was the statement. How about apologizing to Jared Spurgeon? Let's start there.
Yeah.
That's the kid that you scared the bejesus out of by saran wrapping him to a pillar. Apologize to Spurgeon. And I'm not sure that that's happened, but Soisy, as they call him, should he have been forced to apologize? Because if it took 3 weeks, obviously he didn't want to. Doesn't sound like to me.
I think in this day and age, he should understand that we're a bit more sensitive as a society. So yes, I think he should have apologized right away and just said, you know what, I was telling stories on the air, and maybe I need to just backtrack a little bit and take that back, because 10 years ago, this wouldn't have been a thing. No. Even at a sports dinner, you can share these stories, but until you're kind of on the air and anybody can listen, and it can get picked up on social media and get spread in a way.
We are living in a very scary time. It's funny you say that, a sports dinner. I was doing a dinner in Hudson Bay.
Because you can kind of say anything.
You used to be able to say anything at a sports dinner.
Has it changed a little bit?
I haven't really been nailed with anything that I've said at a sports dinner, but there was one night in Hudson Bay, the home of Craig Adam and Trent Yanni and Glenn Gulletson, where I was given what I thought was a pretty low-down speech, and a guy had his phone up. And it was on Facebook Live. And I said, put that down, and I'm not continuing. Yeah. And it kind of took the air out of the room. But I'm like, you're going to get a different speech then if you're going to put this on Facebook Live. Yeah. So then everybody at his table said, put it away. Right? Got away with that one. But in these days, it's tough.
You have to be careful what you say wherever you are. If there's a few people out for dinner, you got to be careful what you say, because the next table could hear, or somebody at your table could go and take that somewhere else. In this day and age, you do have to be careful. But those sports dinners, I want the stories to stay sacred where they are.
Yeah,
it doesn't leave this room.
That's what makes them so great.
Yeah, exactly. So I haven't been to one in about a year. So I'll see how the next one is.
I was doing a dinner in Estevan, and they said to do 20 minutes on the riders, and then I think we had Brett Wilson there that night. Yeah. And I said, here's the real reason Darian Durant got traded. Here's the real reason Chris Jones recruits these players like the ones that they have. Here's the real reason that this happened. And then after it was over, I was driving home, called my mom, and I said, this is what I talked about, Mom. And she was like, are you nuts? If that hits the paper, you're done. Well, Estevan had my back. What was said in the room stayed in the room.
Stayed in the room. That's perfect.
But I just don't think it's It's not going that way.
No.
Point 4, the Argo coordinators, again, Justin Dunk. I think it actually was John Hodge of 3 Down Nation breaking that Jarius Jackson will be the offensive coordinator of the Argos. Glenn Young will be the defensive coordinator, and Mark Nelson will be the offensive coordinator. The Argos, days away from announcing their coaching staff. They're one of the last teams to do so. Riders still haven't yet, though. But again, Jarius Jackson, offensive coordinator in Toronto. Glenn Young, the D coordinator. Mark Nelson, the special teams coordinator. A veteran staff, as the article pointed out, around the rookie head coach.
Yeah, I think that in the Riders' case, we know that Jason Moss and Jason Shivers are going to be their coordinators, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm surprised they haven't announced it yet, but I don't expect a lot of change in the secondary coaches, if you want to call them that. We know Terry Eisler won't be back as the special teams coach. He's going to Edmonton now, but I think we know Steve Walsh probably won't be back, but other than that, they very well might have the same staff, or at least most of the same staff. There's going to be no big names coming in to be
I don't think so.
Running backs coach.
Well, what people are panicking, the Riders haven't announced their coaching staff yet in a really big year where Saskatchewan's hosting the Grey Cup. But this is what I do know. Very quality coaches are clamoring, jumping all over each other to be on this staff. So if you think that the delay is going to cost them good people, that's not the case. Point 5, Super Bowl thoughts. I'm going to tell you again, San Francisco's going to win, even though the Chiefs are favored. Do you have a Super Bowl pick?
Well, I think Kansas City's going to win by 20, 21.
Okay, but that much?
Yeah, I just think they're going to run away with it. They're going to score 40 to 50 points. I think they're going to get down on them, and then San Francisco's going to not be able to run the ball, and then it's just going to go downhill. Garoppolo's going to try to throw 16 passes, maybe, double his total.
The 49ers have the most expensive defense in the National Football League, and it was built...
Yeah, but I think Mahomes can be better than their defense, and whether it's running the ball, whether it's throwing, whether it's picking apart their zone coverage, it doesn't matter if they want to play man.
A lot of people would agree with you.
Yeah.
But I'm going with the 49ers, which is fine to go against the grain. I've been swimming upstream my whole life. Not going to change over this Super Bowl. Michael Gregory writes into the program on the Facebook wall. He says, morning, watching in New Orleans. Thanks for watching, Michael. Yeah. This is the rollout, by the way, for flooring superstores in the Dickin family. Talked to Trent the other night at the Pats game. He said sponsoring this show, being a partner, one of the best things he ever did. Said he can't believe how many people come into flooring superstores and knows that they're a part of the show and the rollout. Point 6, and man, we're not going long on the rollout here, but these are some of the things I wanted to talk about. This is going to our poll question, too, the Astros sign stealing scandal. You have to understand that I do watch ESPN every morning, and when I get up in the morning, I don't watch the Canadian networks. So maybe it's a bigger deal to me, but in the baseball community, it's huge. Those Astros personnel who have been fired, and even Alex Cora, the Red Sox manager, for his role in the Houston sign-stealing scandal, nobody's apologizing. They won't apologize. Taylor is our director of officiating. We had a lively argument, if you will, discussion in the morning meeting here in the locker room about the sign stealing. I will not move off this. The Houston Astros were ahead of the curve in technology as far as I knew. So they used technology to get ahead, and they won a World Series because of it. The rest of Major League Baseball, the other teams are the newspaper industry. They are the taxi industry. The Houston Astros are Uber, Facebook. Skip the dishes. They're ahead of the curve. Catch up. And if that's where we are in 2020, then you're going to have to find a better way. I was thinking about this in the gym this morning. You're going to have to find a better way to communicate your signals from the catcher to the pitcher. Maybe it's two-way radio. Maybe it's a mic and his mask and an earpiece for the pitcher. That's where it's going, because we're not going back. Welcome to 2020. So I don't have a problem with it. And that has led to our Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center daily poll question. Give me a moment while we call it up, because we're going to talk about this in the sports update. The LA Dodgers want to see the Astros and Red Sox World Series wins vacated, and they get awarded them because they lost because of the cheating scandal. So the poll question, what should happen with the 2017-18 World Series? Option A, the Astros and Red Sox keep it. Option B, the Dodgers get awarded both. Or C, no winner. And as of the Twitter poll, 60%, 62% leading. No winner. Wipe it out. And on Facebook, 64% of you saying, no winner. Wipe it out. That's not going to appease the Dodgers. This just all reminds me of the guy who, on my sports trip to Anaheim a few years ago, was left standing on the corner out front of the Honda Center in Anaheim. Couldn't get a cab. Older guy. Flip phone. Everybody else is in an Uber gone. Well, I don't have Uber. Get with it, brother. Yeah. This is what this whole scenario reminds me of.
But if there is a rule in the rule book somewhere that says you can't use technology. I don't have the rule book. I need to get my hands on one. But there is a rule that says you can't use technology to gain an advantage.
You're our director of officiating. You better find it fast.
I better go get that rule book.
Yeah.
But it's a slippery slope if we start with two-way radios and whatnot, because it can go so much farther. Where was it Nelson? He commented. He said the quarterbacks and the offensive coordinators have an earpiece and they talk back and forth. Well, what's to stop the receiver from getting that earpiece and the quarterback saying, "All right, cut left and I'll throw you the ball," while he's mid-route? Or, do you know what I mean? It's just
technology is forcing the world to examine how things have always been done. I don't have any problem with what the Astros have done.
I don't know how enjoyable sports would be in general if all five hockey players, if one line or three guys had little earpieces and they were talking to each other on the ice. Like things like that.
Flash.
So it would trend in that direction if we started allowing all this technology.
That's where we are, buddy. That's where we are. I'll be honest, my sports enjoyment has been significantly decreased because of reviews, because of technology, and because at the end of the day...
So you want to add more, though?
I don't want to add more. I'm saying it's here. If I had my way...
It's hard. It's going to be hard to bring it back now.
Video review would be taken completely out of the game. Yep. All sports. Yeah, the TV networks can have it on their highlights, but as far as officiating, take it all out. It's not going to happen. No. It's here.
No,
so you need to accept it. Yep. And point 7 of the Magnificent 7 show topics is, we just found out this morning that Nick Arbuckle wants to be paid and in the neighborhood of Cody Fajardo. And we'll re-examine that when we come back after the break because the rollout's going long, although if I may say, it's been fantastic. By the way, John Schmeizer's watching from Kansas City, Missouri. And he's watching the show today. He says it's colder in Kansas City today than it is where we are, here in Saskatchewan. John says, Rod, our company has had Chiefs season tickets for 35 years. Today, I find out if we get 2 in the team's allocation. If you were going, who would you take? To spit that out into layman's terms, his company has season tickets. Clearly, John's in a draw to go to the Super Bowl and sit with the Chiefs team section. And if he wins, he's got to pick who he's taking. He's asking me who I would take. That's easy. For me, taking my wife. No ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. Who you taking to the game of your life? Who are you taking? John, who are you taking? Who cares about me? Maybe we'll ask our viewers and listeners today. Biggest game of your life, as a fan, who are you taking? Good question, John, and thank you. But I want to know who you are taking. This has been the rollout for Flooring Superstores. When we come back, more of this. And again, Nick Arbuckle wanting to be paid. How much should he be paid? Is he worth it? It's the Rod Pedersen Show, Wednesday morning, episode 161. We'll be right back in the bunker. You're watching on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of the Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.